you understand?
Hey everybody, I'm Tony Jones, and welcome to the Tony Jones Show.
It's not enough. People are willing to take the risk. It's sort of a herd mentality, a lemming-like mentality. If you don't go with the flow, you're anti-American and therefore a suspect.
The Tony Jones Show, featuring punk, rockabilly, psychobilly, and Providence, Rhode Island's finest, starts right now.
He's a dangerous militia member, I hear. Oh, and there she blows.
Friends, the time for mediocrity and broadcasting is over. My name is Tony Jones, and you are tuned in to the Tony Jones Show, your destination for talk and rock, online at tonyjones.org, facebook.com/Tony Jones Show, on the almighty Twitter at Tony Jones in RI. If I sound a little tired this week, it's for two reasons. It's because I was at Pride all day yesterday, and also my co-host here, George Garner, was kind enough to move a very comfortable recliner right into our studios here in lovely scenic West Warwick, Rhode Island. So I was in fact napping right up until it was time to go on the air here. So I feel I'm a little sluggish in my delivery. George Garner is here. George, welcome back.
It's good to be back. And yes, that chair is only salvage, but it is damn comfortable.
It is ridiculously comfortable. It has a certain je ne sais quoi to it. I don't know. It maybe because the seat that I use here behind the console is particularly uncomfortable, and it makes that particularly comfortable, or it's just a comfortable chair.
I think it's just a comfortable chair. I mean, we have somebody sitting in it right now here in the studio, and she's almost already asleep.
Just walked in the door, eyes already closed.
Yeah.
We could charge $19.95 for insomnia cures of bringing people into that chair. So Wednesday night, we played at Dusk in Providence. I want to say thank you to everybody there. George, you were sorely missed because, and it wasn't bad for a Wednesday night set, local show. We could only come up with 8 songs to play because you weren't there with us to assume vocal duties on probably what is the other 8 songs that we know.
Well, I repent my exhaustion and illness.
Necrophiliac Meat Circus absolutely brought the house down, of course, and then for the first time I got to see Tongue, T-U-N-G, just a great local punk band that's been playing for quite some time. And it's just one of those bands where I've wanted to check them out, never got around to it, and now they were on the bill with us, so I got to hang out until the wee hours of the morning and catch me some Tongue, and it was awesome.
And the Necros managed to get through a whole set without attacking each other? Or,
they did, yeah. I think
that's good to hear.
They kept the attacks to the, severed heads and different props that were on the stage. But it's true. I mean, Necrophiliac Meat Circus wasn't around for a while, and they probably don't want us to mention that, but, it's because there was some little inner turmoil in the band. But they seem to be getting along now.
Which is good because they are one of my favorite bands to go see. So, yeah.
So we have a lot to talk about. Of course, you probably heard the Ticketmaster story. We'll talk about that in a bit. And money was flying around in Providence this week, and we have quite a unique perspective on that in just a few minutes' time. And, of course, we have some of the best music around on tap for you. We're going to have some double shots of local music tonight. Now, the Internet tells me, as it tells me quite a few things, that this next band will actually be doing double duty next Saturday. They're going to be at the Peacedale Block Party in the afternoon, and then at night they're going to be at Jimmy's in Newport. And by the way, George, if you haven't heard, there's all of a sudden this great live music punk scene going on in Newport, Rhode Island, of all places, for some reason.
That caught my notice. What's going on?
I mean, the Dwarves are coming to town. The Dictators were there not too long ago. I don't know if it's that punk is becoming more mainstream, or is it that Newport is going downhill. Either way, I like the idea, except for the money to get over the bridge.
I did notice that. It is bizarre. Yeah. You never know. You just never know when these things are going to spring up.
Maybe Newport could be the new Bowery.
I don't know. I think as long as they have guides in those mansions, I don't think they're going to...
I'm sure the people with $1 million homes like the idea that I'm calling it the new Bowery.
Yeah. Although, I don't know, if you look really close in some of those... that mansion, what's that big mansion there? The one that everybody goes
Breakers?
To? The Breakers, yeah. I'm sure that if you go into some of those mansions of breaker size, I'm sure there's quite a few squatters and homeless that have already infiltrated those sub-basements and those sub-basements. So
I go to Newport quite a bit, and what is very popular in Newport right now are these pedicabs. Have you seen those? It's almost like the equivalent of the rickshaw, except the guy is riding a bicycle.
Yeah, not only in... I've seen them in Providence, too.
Providence, when I was in Orlando, it was big down there. And I swear to God, there'll be a line of these pedicabs, and I'll come walking down the street, and I swear to God, I can tell what they're thinking. Please don't let this huge, fat bastard get in my pedicab. Please don't let me have to pedal this guy 10 blocks from here.
Actually, you could probably have them pay you to pass them by if you really...
it's kind of like when you see a panhandler or a prostitute on the street, you kind of divert your eyes. That's what the pedicab folks are doing to me when I walk by.
Yeah, I'll tell you, they're liable to take up a collection, a citywide collection, and bribe you to stay off their equipment.
But I digress. Let's get back to the local music now. We're going to hear from the Dust Ruffles up next. This track, Romeo, right here on The Tony Jones Show.
Arise, we meet, and I can read your thoughts. I see where this is going, and know your thoughts, and I can see the we can't have. We take, we steal, we make it real. I can recognize that it's not for me. We can't justify this eternally. I don't believe it can be anything real. I know, Romeo, you don't need to say it, you can just go. I know, Romeo, I don't need to ask, I'll just let it go. We are just addicted to the taste of our lips. Something comes alive when you trace down my hips. So dance, 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 dance with me. Tomorrow's gonna change and you will have to go. I know. It feels so right, We dance all night, For a time, you are all mine. But I can recognize that this is goodbye. I do not want you to tell me why. Don't worry, I am not gonna die from the way I feel. I know, Romeo, you don't need to say it, you can just go. I know, Romeo, I don't need to ask, I'll just let it go. We are just addicted to the taste of our lips. Something comes alive when you trace down my hips. So dance, 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 dance with me. Tomorrow's gonna change and you will have to go. I know. I don't wanna stop dancing. This might be the last chance to feel. Be the romancing,
My life changed in driver's education. It would be a brand new sensation. Finally, I proved that I am a man, taking matters into my own hands. Teacher said there'd be a film. Then she turned out the lights. First I saw a cart grill. Then my girl turned pale white. It was blood on the pavement. Blood on the pavement. Blood on the pavement. It was a film from circa 1962. Said now in color, but the sky wasn't quite blue. Fast moving car and old lady crossing the street. Screeching breaks a body thrown, just a pile of meat. Something inside of me snapped. I was the only one who clapped for blood on the pavement. Blood on the pavement. Blood on the pavement. Blood on the pavement. To my heart, it was a lesson learned. Now I do my part, looking ahead. My car knows when to accelerate. Jaywalkers will learn a specialty. Mine is a fast-moving Chevy. Blood on the pavement, it's what I like. Blood on the pavement, it's every day, it's every night. Blood on the pavement, it's what I like. Blood on the pavement, it's every day, it's every night. Changed in driver's education, it would be a brand new sensation.
Ah, yes, the shameless self-promotion portion of the night is here on the Tony Jones Show. You just heard from Tony Jones and the Cretin 3, Blood on the Pavement, the name of that one, a song that we don't really do anymore and folks keep asking for. Before that, a band doing double duty this upcoming Saturday. They'll be at the Peacedale Block Party in the afternoon and then at Jimmy's in Newport at night. We heard from local stalwarts, the Dusk Ruffles, Romeo, the name of that track. Tony Jones here, Facebook.com/Tony Jones Show. On the almighty Twitter, at Tony Jones in RI. Be sure to go to TonyJones.org and RIFreeRadio.org. George Garner is here. George, good evening.
Good evening. And by the way, it's only shameless if it sucks.
That's true.
A song that cool can never be shameless, no matter how many times we promote it.
That's a big hit over in Germany. They still love the American rock and roll over there. Germany, Japan, they still get it. You know, they still dig it.
Yeah, just as you've often said, the further we get from home, the more popular our music is.
I had an absolute blast at Pride yesterday, and I just want to say thank you to everybody that I ran into there. Tony Jones and the Cretin 3 fans, Tony Jones Show fans, Rhode Island Free Radio fans. And I was there supporting the Libertarian Party and Gary Johnson, and we were actually, George, surprisingly enough, the only political table there. And it was kind of a great interaction throughout the day. We had very few naysayers. Everybody kind of understood the importance of a third party, at least this go around.
Right. Now, when you say you were the only political table there, putting out the message, were there any politicians from the other parties there? Or?
There was, the local congressman, David Cicilline. He was there kind of supporting his community. There was one great T-shirt I saw throughout the course of the day, which was a T-shirt that read, "Bottoms for Bernie." That was my favorite political T-shirt of the day. And there was also a drag queen, Hillary Clinton, who, of course, looked better than the real Hillary Clinton.
An Egyptian mummy looks better than the real Hillary Clinton at this point, believe me.
Now, another thing regarding Gary Johnson is yesterday, and full disclosure, I've mentioned it, but I want to make sure that everything's on the up and up. I'm the state director for Gary Johnson 2016 here in Rhode Island, and Gary was on the front page of the Providence Journal yesterday, so I had known the article was coming out. I had prepared myself for this spike in interest. I'm going to have some emails to respond to. I'm going to have to keep up with people. There'll be a real spike in interest with a front page story in the local newspaper.
Right.
Not so much.
I think that reflects more on the local newspaper than it does Gary Johnson, though. Really,
that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, and there was an online component to it, but it didn't seem that too many people. It could be because it's Saturday and a busy summer weekend. Not too many people picked up the paper, but
no, I think the influence of the local paper and all its incarnations is fading. I mean, well, look at the size of the paper.
Yeah.
I mean, the Providence Journal, right? It's the only major newspaper in Rhode Island. Well, which might say something right there, but I remember, and it wasn't that long ago because we remember it. You could actually pick up that paper and kill a mouse with it.
Right.
It was heavy enough to do damage.
As a young man in high school, I delivered said paper, and I delivered the paper on my bicycle, and it was darn heavy back then.
Yeah, now you pick it up, and it's about the weight of a supermarket circular.
Or as the late, great Buddy Cianci used to call it, the Providence pamphlet. We're going to get back to the music, and on the other side of the music, a story that George and I have a very unique perspective on. We'll talk about that in a bit. Money was blowing around Providence after bags full of cash fell from a truck. And, well, George and I's unique perspective on that is we make a little bit of money in the security business. But we'll get into the story after the music. We're going to hear from Juicehead up next. This track is Lorraine right here on The Tony Jones Show.
Goodbye.
Just Can't Get It Right, the name of that one, Providence's own The Midnight Creeps, right here on the Tony Jones Show. Before that, a little Juicehead, some live Juicehead, that is. We heard Lorraine. Tony Jones here, George Garner is here, and I forgot to mention that at Pride yesterday, I absolutely just burnt the crap out of myself. Now, usually when we talk about someone getting burnt, it means something completely different here on the Tony Jones Show. Sun-wise, I absolutely burnt the crap out of myself yesterday.
Well, parts of you. I mean, the face, you already had a little bit of a tan, so now you just look very healthily tanned on the face.
You know, I have a very unique mix of ancestral background, half of that being Native American. So as soon as I hit the sun, I just start toasting up like... kind of like Donald Trump looks, but not as orange.
Yes, your tan is not from a can.
But I burnt my arms to the point where they physically hurt. I was actually sitting in the dark in here earlier today because I was just totally burnt.
Yeah, because Tony, what's your part Native American, and what's the other part?
I got some Italian in there, and it's...
you got any Irish?
No, that I don't have.
Yeah, because you'd be in the hospital right now if you had Irish.
I'd be all freckled up. So earlier this week here, not too far from our luxurious studios here in Lovecraft's Providence, Rhode Island, money was flying around. Now, if you know the area, the Rhode Island Hospital area, it's right off the there's always there's like a wind tunnel in that area, and so the security guards were moving money, cash money, in those bags with the dollar signs on them, like we see in the cartoons. They left the bag on top of the armored car, pulled away, and then another car pulled up behind them, hit the bag exploded, the cash was flying all over the place. Now, it's like something out of a movie, except, you can do the research. You can check out the Providence Journal, Boston Globe. This actually happened. More than $20,000 flying around the streets of Providence. The Brinks team is investigating what happened. Well, George, you and I here on the Tony Jones Show can tell you what happened. With Brinks and Dunbar and these high-level security groups, starting rate is $11 an hour. If you have a pistol permit, you get $11.50 an hour.
Right. So you have the lowest paid taking care of the most money.
With guns, with vests. When you drive by the bank and you see that guy standing out there with his hand on his gun, wearing a bulletproof vest, watching the other security guard either go in or fill up the ATM machine, that guy is making $11.50 an hour, probably with no benefits.
Right, and the reason his hand is on his gun is not to protect the money, but he's debating, he's having an internal debate over whether he should just keep standing there like a moron or if it would be worth it to draw the gun, shoot the other guy, and take the money and run.
Or shoot himself in the foot so he can get a day off. Although with some of the security gigs I have had, you wouldn't get the day off.
They'd begrudge you the time it took you to go to the hospital and get it bandaged. Then they'd ask you if you could go back on the next shift. And then they'd complain that you weren't making enough rounds hobbling around on your shot foot.
They'd be chasing the ambulance down the street asking if you could work the next day.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, I mean, that does amuse me. I mean, I've been on some security posts where I've been literally in charge. Like, for example, a high-tech office building.
Right.
I mean, they're paying us, $10 an hour to be in charge of millions of dollars of equipment and assets. That doesn't add up.
Now, for the people there outside of the hospital, they had to have felt like it was something out of a movie. I mean, but we were talking about off the air, as people there were filling up their pockets, and
just in case it was real.
I would be in that category of, I would just cynically think that this was fake. It was part of a reality show. It was fake money.
Well, if anything, that was a great study in personal psychology. The glass half full, the glass half empty. The people that were stuffing their pockets believe that actual good fortune can fall on you at random. The people cynically sitting there,
laughing at the security guards.
Well, yeah, you have to laugh at the security guards. You watch any of us in action, you'll laugh at the security guards. But the guy following in the car that ran over the money, you sure that wasn't a security escort? Because I'll tell you, on a couple of my assignments, I drive a security vehicle, and I'm usually half asleep. And if I was escorting that Brinks, I would be the one.
And, it's interesting that it happened in an area where there's always people standing around. This could kind of fly under the radar if they were filling up a bank out in the rural area. But in front of a hospital, there's people out there smoking cigarettes. There's people waiting for rides. There's people waiting to get checked in. I mean, just a ton of people standing around not only to witness this, but to fill up their pockets.
And I'll tell you, and it does give you a sense of divine justice. I mean, look, these people are out there smoking cigarettes because they're depressed about how the hospital has drained their pockets, right? These people are out there wondering how are they going to pay for this, how are they going to pay for that, how they're going to... So
is the security detail making $11.50 an hour.
Right. So basically that money went where it would do the most good.
I could not believe, I had just assumed that, regular standard security is a low wage job, but that the, armored trucks actually made a decent wage. And on Craigslist, actually it's probably still up there. I had looked into a job fair that was happening. I think it was either Brinks or Dunbar, and starting wage $11 an hour with a pistol permit, $11.50. And in all seriousness, how do you justify? And as the Brinks company, you honestly think that those guys are going to care all that much? No, it's just weird. It's like they say that in America, the higher salary goes to the more skilled, the more, the more important. The more important you are, the more money you make. I'm starting to think it's kind of that's all a hoax, and it's kind of the reverse. Because think about it. Whether it's security guards guarding Brinks, whether it's the maids and people like that taking care of your hotel, whether it's the barmaids and bartenders and the trash collectors. In other words, all these people at the bottom of the pay scale, right? If it wasn't for any of these people, this society couldn't function. And a perfect example of that is not so much the higher end medical, but CNAs and personal care attendants and hospice folks and even medical assistants. That's a starting off at minimum wage.
Yeah, minimum wage to take care of the elderly. My sister tried to get into that field, and minimum wage to take care of the elderly, minimum wage to take care of the emotionally disturbed. I'm not sure. If you gave me a little while of dead air, I could probably come up with some kind of witty comment about this, but I don't know.
I was at a security gig once and it paid minimum wage at the time. This was years ago. And, I know I'm a grown man and these things shouldn't freak me out, but you were in charge of standing in front of the morgue at Pawtucket Hospital and checking people in. And I swear to God,
checking people in and making sure people don't walk out.
I swear to God, I heard a loud bang come from the morgue. And, I know there's nothing happening in there. But the reason that I was actually filling into that was because the last security guard was in the hospital because she got the crap kicked out of her. And so that's why I was there filling in.
By the people in the deranged.
Yeah. She had responded to something in a different part of the hospital and had gotten hurt. And I swear to God, I heard a loud bang come from inside that morgue that I personally had locked up for the night.
And did you ever find out what the loud bang was?
I never went back to that gig after those 8 hours were up.
Very wise man. That's why you're here today.
Well, let's get back to the music now. We're going to hear a double shot of some local heavy metal. We're going to hear from Whisky Fyre, who has Fyre Fest coming up pretty soon. We're going to start off with Punishment right here. Well, that's what a security gig is sometimes. It's punishment, and that's the name of this next track right here on The Tony Jones Show.
What now? Play with fire, you'll get burnt. Pull the trigger on its turn. Face the silence with constant motion. This is your punishment. Killing the innocent. All those poor children. I hope you die of harsh punishment. You will just get what you want. We've been in the dark. Fight true from the stars. Let's rip out his heart. Let's rip out his heart. Let's rip out his heart. You're so scared. It's your work is used against you. Stay, remain in your place. Find the evidence. Hide the violence. This is your punishment. This is your punishment. This is your punishment. This is your punishment.
coming out of some local female-fronted heavy metal, Whiskey Fyre, right here on the Tony Jones Show. War and Glory, the name of that one. Before that, we heard Punishment. You were tuned into the Tony Jones Show, Facebook.com/Tony Jones Show. On the almighty Twitter at Tony Jones in RI. Be sure to go to TonyJones.org. Be sure to go to RIFreeRadio.org and click on what is the highest viewed blog of this past month, which belongs to our own George Garner, who's in studio with me. Now, once again, as I like to lament, and I love alternative media, so I am a glutton for punishment. Political blogs, opinion pieces. We're trying to change the world here, and what is the number one viewed blog? Well, some sci-fi from George Garner.
Well, I like to think it has a political component.
Political undertones.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, absolutely.
So I got to thank everybody out there that has been, asking about my political plans for this season, and I will have an announcement not this Monday coming up, but the Monday after. So be sure to check in with me for that. George, I don't know if you've heard yet. Do you have a Ticketmaster account?
No, I don't.
So there was a class action lawsuit against Ticketmaster because they charge $400, and this isn't surprising for any of us who go to concerts on a regular basis. They charge $400 million in extra fees to their users over the years. So as part of that settlement, they're actually giving out free tickets. Now, of course, I thought, being cynical, as we talked about earlier, that it was too good to be true. I don't have a Ticketmaster account, but many friends do. And I'm hearing from folks confirming that they have 5, 10, 15, up to 20, 25 free tickets available on their Ticketmaster accounts because they got screwed.
Yeah, but Tony, let me stop you right there. It is too good to be true because the tickets they screwed you over on the fees for was for the Rolling Stones, the Who, Aerosmith, the Eagles, if you're into that type of thing, Johnny Cash. What the free tickets are that they're giving away are for Justin Bieber.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Earth, Wind, and Fire. And that's on the... Yeah, really? That makes my point.
Now, there's some things that you probably won't go to even if it's free. But I'm curious to see if this does kind of spike a little bit of interest in some of these retro acts because it's free.
Yeah, I know, but... Seriously, I mean, it's not the retro acts the tickets are for, is it? I mean, aren't you going to see... In other words, did somebody tell them you have to give the free tickets for worthwhile music? I mean, or are they just giving the free tickets out to see American Idol and Voice second and third runners-up? I mean...
the Tiny Tim tribute band.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Bieber tribute band. I mean, this is the inequality of it. I mean, think about, the bands that people got screwed paying extra for and who these free tickets are for you to go to see. I mean,
a few years ago, well, quite a few years ago now that I think about it, your ticket for Ozfest was also a free ticket to Motley Crue. And so because it was free, I went to the Motley Crue show and ended up having an absolute blast. But I would have never bought a ticket to Motley Crue.
Well, that's true. You never know.
You never know what's going to... I mean, everybody who listens to the show on a regular basis know that I'm as cheap as it comes. And, well, if it's for free, it's for me.
Yeah, no, I remember walking through, when I was a kid, I was walking through downtown Providence because what I would do is I lived in the suburbs. Mm-hmm. So I'd take the bus down to downtown Providence and just walk around and see what was going on. And I was down there, and this guy comes up to me, and I got ready to run. But what he was doing actually was he was selling tickets to the Diana Ross show.
Oh, jeez.
And so he says, "Hey, kid, you want a ticket to the?" And really, until he actually showed me the ticket, I was still ready to run. But apparently, I don't know what it was, but apparently Diana Ross gave the bus driver like a book of tickets to sell, because this was in her disco days when nobody wanted to go see her anymore. So I think I got a Diana Ross ticket for like $5.
So taking everything full circle, Diana Ross came to town at one point. This is the early 2000s. I was doing security, like we just talked about, and I was Diana Ross's personal bodyguard as we went around town. She wanted to get something to eat and do some shopping and stuff.
Huh.
And
she still needs a bodyguard?
Nice lady. Probably did not need a bodyguard, and not a ton of people at that show either. But she was still doing She was doing disco, and this was the early 2000s. So
Right. She didn't change with the times.
no, she just kept on a rolling. But like I mentioned about punk rock, if you're into punk rock, every 10 years you're awesomely cool.
Right.
And the same thing happens with disco. Yeah. So all of a sudden, for some godforsaken reason, there'll be a big disco revival that
the only
comes
problem is with disco, it's pretty distasteful because most of the big disco bands of the 70s were a bunch of white guys.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, every 10-year cycle, they get worse and worse looking. I mean, I don't know if anybody's seen KC and the Sunshine Band lately, but there's not much sunshine left in those guys.
There may be, if you have a Ticketmaster account, some free tickets to KC and the Sunshine Band waiting for you right now. Well, it's starting to run out of time, so I want to get back to a little bit more music. 30 Silver on tap for you. Dark and Sinister Man Have at Thee, right here on The Tony Jones Show. Ah, yes, some fine lads they are. They've been in this very studio. You just heard from 30 Silver right here on the Tony Jones Show. The name of that track, Dark and Sinister Man Have at Thee. And with that, we are just about out of time. George Garner, thank you as always.
It's been a pleasure as always.
Glad you're back in fighting form here. There's been a little bit of the plague going around here, just like everybody involved around here has just like almost dropped dead over the past 6 months.
Well, basically,
at one point or another.
It's a matter of just plain and simple exhaustion at some point. While we try to do what entertains us and entertains you,
right,
while trying to feed ourselves.
Facebook.com/Tony Jones Show, TonyJones.org, RIFreeRadio.org, and on the almighty Twitter at Tony Jones in RI. I'm going to leave you with, well, a band that's also been in studio with us. As we mentioned, they've followed me from studio to studio, and they're one of our favorite bands here on the Tony Jones Show. We're going to hear hopefully two, but maybe just 1.5 from the McGunks to take you out this week. Starting off with Bad Decisions. Bye, everybody. Bye.